There are 3 guarantees in life: death, taxes, and hoping the underdog wins. Unless said underdog is your stepfather running full speed towards your PlayStation because you called your mom a bitch. Leicester City winning the Premier League. Rocky slapping up Apollo Creed like a chicken fillet. And Netflix streaming blockbusters' death to gore sites. These are some examples of that sweet unexpected victory. But in today's age, these underdog stories are few and far between. Big dogs with big money are predators on the game and food chain, releasing the same slop every single year, but they know it eats up. Okay, so I'm not one to deep dive, but I will certainly dip my toes in. This video isn't intended to give a certain direct answer. I'm kind of bouncing around the topic a little bit. I want to try deeply understand the connection between fans and AAA games and fans and indie games. I'm also trying to understand how big, massive game companies and developers handed us Mind's Eye, while one dude gave us Minecraft. There's a big difference there, and I know there's other examples, but Jesus Christ, Mind's Eye, brother. Fucking Mind's Eye. Anyway, no better place than to start with Minecraft. In 2009, Minecraft changed everything. Minecraft changed me. It became a platform for all the creativity that had been building up in my head. Suddenly, my ideas had somewhere to go, and my imagination could finally explode into something real. Back in 2009, I was just 7 years old. Lego was the coolest thing in the world to me, but I could never quite understand why I couldn't always get the newest sets. My parents just couldn't afford them. Then, in 2013, I got my little Dorito dust covered fingers on a digital copy of Minecraft for the PS3. And honestly, it was one of the most overwhelming experiences I'd ever had. It felt like I had just discovered infinite Lego. A world where I could build anything I wanted whenever I wanted. A place where my creativity finally had no limits. I'll never forget giving my brother the shit controller while we played split screen. Setting the world to peaceful because we were both absolutely terrified of the mobs. Minecraft will always have a place in my heart. When Minecraft first popped up online, it wasn't this big flashy launch or anything. Just some Swedish guy, Marcus Persson. Such a no bullshit second name, I love it. But everyone calls him Notch. No big company, no ads blasting everywhere, no trailers with explosions and voiceovers. Nothing like that, just blocks, man, that's it. The very first versions back in 2009 were so basic it was almost funny. You load in, there's this empty world made of cubes, absolute dead silence. No instructions, no press this to start, no story, no nothing. Figure it out or don't. And weirdly enough, that was what hooked everyone. Pretty soon people were building all kinds of crazy shit and just throwing the screenshots and videos up online. Huge castles that actually looked real. Underground cities, roller coasters that actually worked. Redstone was always my fucking kryptonite. Then there was pixel art of memes and stuff. One guy would post something insane and the next fella would see it and go, hold on, I can do better than that. And they kept topping each other over and over. Pause. Then YouTube got a hold of it, and that's where it got real for me. When I couldn't play Minecraft myself, I was glued to Stampy's videos every single day. That cat fella with the goofy voice just building and laughing his way through everything. And Syndicate stuff as well. All those survival runs that I'd watch for hours on end. Even my dumb ass when I was like 12 or 13 tried starting my own little YouTube channel full of Minecraft videos. Wasn't just because I loved the game, I straight up thought I would become a millionaire. You know? Like if these dudes can do it, why can't I? All of a sudden it wasn't just you playing anymore. You were spending your days watching other people play. Watching them survive, do stupid challenges or jump on these mental multiplayer servers where everything is carnage. Griefers blowing stuff up. Like, watching Xbox Addictions back in the day and those kids going absolutely insane was the highlight of my day. Giant projects getting built in one night, people screaming at each other over voice chat, that whole thing just spread on its own. No marketing budget, just one kid showing his friend, that friend showing 3 more, and it snowballed. Honestly, the craziest part is how it never really stopped. What started as one random guy's hobby turned into this massive thing. Millions and millions of players. Servers running 24/7, people modding the shit out of it. Whole communities living in these worlds they made together. All because somebody had the balls to make a game out of plain old cubes.
Get ready, man!
The most infamous AAA games I can think of during this time period are Call of Duty and Battlefield. As far as popularity goes, Call of Duty reigns king across several decades, with Battlefield being the little brother tagging along for the ride. Now, there are obviously more beautifully constructed and popular AAA titles surrounding this time period, but as far as consistently releasing big titles one after the other with big budgets, these two games are up there. Apart from Battlefield 1, Battlefield has always been a game I would pass on, but Call of Duty was another kettle of fish. Everyone played the newest Call of Duty, regardless of what bullshit they produced that year. From the prime years of Black Ops 1 and 2 and Modern Warfare 2 to the not so desirable Advanced Warfare, people were just obsessed. The power in Call of Duty for me is the replayability. You gather some friends and you can no-life the game for hours upon hours. It has a sense of comfort. Yes, a PTSD, gunshot and zombie scream filled comfort, but still extreme comfort. But a question I always ask myself now is, was Call of Duty ever really that good? Was that sense of comfort, replayability and playing with your friends the saving grace for Call of Duty? As far as the game goes, it really is just a basic first-person shooter. Now yes, they were the best in the business, but it was never really pulling up trees with creativity and adaptation. To help me narrow this down, I asked a fellow content creator, Cali, his thoughts on Call of Duty and its staple position in the gaming ecosystem.
So when did Call of Duty hit its peak? For me, that would be Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops 1. A lot of us don't think about these games nowadays because we have just new COD. We've got Black Ops 7, and apparently Modern Warfare 4 is in the works. But for me, the peak Call of Duty experience was all about just pure fun. There was no microtransactions, there was no login, there was no launchers. You didn't have to install a game, you didn't have to wait for multiple updates that are like 200 gigabyte. I was very young when these games came out, and I personally remember pre-ordering Black Ops 1. But Modern Warfare 2 was the first Call of Duty game I ever played. And believe it or not, I wasn't too much into first-person shooters. I actually despised them at that point. But I got into Modern Warfare 2. You know what? I thought it was rather good. I met people online. Unfortunately, these people I no longer speak to. I hope all those people are doing well. But for me, it was just an escape. A time to just play with friends. Just hours on zombies. Hours. Always trying to do game-breaking glitches. Who remembers the table glitch? Before that got patched. It was all about pure fun. It was about getting home from school after a long day in a place you didn't want to be, taking that sweet disc out of the case and just popping it in your Xbox. The plug and play aspect was always the best thing. You could put the disc in and it just worked. It might not seem like much nowadays because everyone has completely moved on. But I tell you, I had the best time on these Call of Duties. They were incredible and I had so much fun. And this is also the case with Black Ops 2 and Modern Warfare 3 as well. This is where I really started creating content. I had a HD PVR. Most people probably don't know what that is. And I also had a Dazzle at the start as well. Apparently, I had the best Dazzle quality you could have. For some reason, I managed to make my Dazzle quality look top tier, mate. But were these games actually good? And the answer to that question is very simple. Yes, they were extremely good. Could I rely on these games to give me fun? Hell yeah. There is no doubt in my mind that these games were ever bad. And they're still good to this day. Unfortunately, there's nobody online. Because like I said, everyone's just moved on. These games were definitely more than a comfort game. It was something I could really sink my teeth into and just play for hours. I'd stay up all night playing zombies, trying to find glitches with my friends. That was some of the best parts. Now when it comes to new Call of Duty titles, I always try to have an open mind with each title. I enjoyed Modern Warfare 2019, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, and Black Ops 6. I didn't have a chance to play any of the other titles, unfortunately. I thought those games were very good, because it really was a boots on the ground situation. Which is what I think Call of Duty really needed after a long time experimenting with exosuits and just flying around. I wasn't much of a fan of Black Ops 3. But my question for this, has Call of Duty gotten worse over the years? Personally, I believe it has. I definitely believe the identity of Call of Duty has been lost. And that's mainly due to all the microtransactions. Personally, I don't think Nicki Minaj should have been in a Call of Duty game. Or even things like Squid Game. But it is what it is. Activision like to rinse that money off you. They never used to do that. Now my fourth and final segment. Has Call of Duty lost its magic? And I think this question reverts back to the previous segment. Yes, it has. The magic of Call of Duty is gone. It will no longer ever feel the same. Multiple skins, a paywall for better sound. What are we doing? And do they respect what fans want? I don't think so. But then again, the mixture of fans is in between. Some fans like all the futuristic aspect of Call of Duty, and then some fans want it to go back to basics. And personally, I don't think either side can ever agree. Which is probably the reason why Activision just do what they want. I mean, they can do what they want, it's their game. But with every game comes fans. And I really think you should listen to the fans.
I'd like to say thank you to Cali for the segment there, I really appreciate it. His socials will be in the description, make sure you check him out. Awful take on Black Ops 3, by the way, that game was peak. And Nicki Minaj was needed. Us gooners needed inspiration. But Cali mentioning the relationship between Call of Duty and the fans helps me perfectly transition into the next segment. Do indie game developers respect their fans more than AAA game developers? Now, the easy answer is yes. I have a small channel, so it's easier for me to show appreciation to everyone who watches and comments. The larger my channel gets, the harder it would be to show love to everyone. Basically, what I'm trying to say is size matters. You've heard that before, fellas. But we can take a closer look than that. Indie game developers heavily rely on player trust. In order for their game to grow, they need to show the highest quality of respect and effort to please fans. This ultimately increases word of mouth spread of their game. The bigger game developers have already garnered that player trust. They rely more on marketing and brand recognition. Another point is any of the positive attention shown to fans of AAA games are more than likely from community managers and marketing departments. Indie game studios are typically a smaller team, so fans know it's from someone who really cares about their product. Another key aspect is corporate pressure. Indie developers usually don't answer to investors or shareholders. AAA game teams do. That means they have to meet revenue targets, release games by specific deadlines, and try push DLC content and microtransactions.
Give me all your fucking money now.
Because of this, fan requests may inflict with their profit goals, whereas indie game teams heavily rely on pleasing fans and improving their product to increase popularity and profit. They don't have massive marketing budgets, so improving their game is in their best interest, especially when people are promoting it on social media for them. An indie game I think does this extremely well is Project Zomboid. The developers consistently listen to and respect their community. The team regularly publishes detailed development updates known as Thursdoids, come on buddy, Thursdoids, where they openly discuss what they are working on and the challenges they face during development. They frequently read and respond to feedback from players on forums, Reddit and Discord, allowing the community to influence the direction of the game. Many major features have been shaped by player suggestions over the years, including improvements to multiplayer, crafting systems, and general gameplay mechanics. One of the most notable examples is the complete animation overhaul introduced in Build 41, which was something the community had been requesting for a long time. Although their updates can take time, the developers are very transparent about their decisions and progress, which has helped them build a strong sense of trust between them and the player base. A AAA game that I think fails miserably, like me in any academic situation, is Battlefield 2042. Before the game launched, long-time fans expressed concerns about the removal of the traditional class system that had been a core part of the Battlefield series for years. It was replaced with a new specialist system. Despite significant criticism during early previews and beta testings, the system remained largely unchanged at launch. Players also noticed that several basic features present in previous Battlefield games were missing, such as the traditional scoreboard, voice chat and a server browser. These omissions led many fans to believe the community expectations and feedback had not been fully prioritised. While some of these features were eventually added in later updates, many players felt the changes came way too late. It confuses me more and more each time I read about stuff like this. Just please your fans. Like I said, there can be high pressure from shareholders or whatever, but bro, if you just make a better game, you're gonna make more fucking money. It's simple. Like, I'm a big FIFA fan, I'm sorry to break it to everybody, but holy shit have I not enjoyed a FIFA since probably COVID. Because they just don't fucking listen. They keep pushing the same bullshit every year. Alright, this is about to be an earful. Like a lot of things, except me, indie games and AAA games have pros and cons. For example, indie games have a bundle of creative freedom. Indie games aren't usually tied to publishers, which gives them the freedom to produce weird and unique ideas. Yes, this can damage some indie games by giving the game no direction, but in a lot of cases it really helps. For example, Hollow Knight. you can truly see the creative freedom these developers have. Indie games are also very passion driven. Just like this YouTube video, hit the like button, you can often feel the soul of the game more. I think this also creates a bond between the developers and the fans, but at the same time, passion doesn't always equal quality. An obvious pro for indie games is the price difference. It's easier to take a risk on an indie game rather than a AAA game. A counter-argument to that point is that when you buy a AAA game, you know it's more than likely going to be good. It's easier to take a risk on something when it's cheaper, but that doesn't always mean it's going to be better. The first con I can think about when it comes to indie games is the lower production quality. Just like this video you're watching, they are more likely to produce bugs, poor graphics, and have performance issues. But again, in many instances, this has been proven wrong. There's also the limited content. A lot of the time, indie games are tighter experiences, like them mad bastards that climb through caves on YouTube. They can heavily concentrate on quality rather than just filler content. Also, in some cases, the replayability isn't as high. The final con I'm going to mention is discoverability issues. A lot of top tier indie games can just go buried and become unheard of. Without YouTube promotion or Steam pushing the game, it's hard to know if they are worth playing. Now for some pros and cons of AAA games. In my opinion, the biggest advantage AAA games has on indie games is the production quality. AAA game developers always ensure they have the best graphics, the best animators, and the best voice actors. For example, games like Red Dead Redemption 2 or The Last of Us feel cinematic. A counter to that argument is that high production quality doesn't always mean fun. Some AAA games can look extremely good but feel extremely boring and repetitive. For example, fucking Mind's Eye. Again, man! Fucking Mind's Eye! Another thing I think AAA games has on indie games is the large-scale content. Big, gigantic open worlds, hours upon hours of story missions, and usually a ton of side content. That's actually my mistress's nickname. Side content. But sometimes a lot of that is just filler content, a copy and paste of the same boring repetitive missions. Reliability of AAA games is also usually higher. There's generally less bugs and glitches, and a way larger team to test the game before release. But then again, I bring you back to fucking Mind's Eye! Even Cyberpunk on release. A fucking mess. But like I said, everything has their cons. A lot of AAA games nowadays really lack motivation and innovation. A lot of AAA games just release sequels with slightly enhanced graphics and call it a day. They follow the same old, boring, safe formula which goes against the creative freedom that indie games have. Like I mentioned before, AAA games are also very corporate heavy and have to make sure daddy investor is a happy boy. For example, I can't remember the last time I've started up a Call of Duty without having a battle pass shoved down my fucking throat. And don't get me started on microtransactions. If you don't have the Skull Trooper, you're a fucking virgin. And the final con goes without saying. The price of these games. Most of these games run you about 70 quid, sometimes a lot more. Of course you might get way more hours of gameplay, but the risk you're taking at that price is that those extra hours of gameplay could be a load of bollocks. So, let's build a hypothetical situation. If you could only play one of these types of games for the rest of your life, which would you choose? 1. A game that never visually disappoints. The best imaginable animations, voice acting, writing, and smoothness. High production quality and a large fan base. But it doesn't strive towards keeping fans happy. Microtransactions shoved in your face. Updates nobody actually wanted, and a 50-50 chance the overall experience is poor. Not to mention, this gamble costs you 60 to sometimes over 100 doubloons each time. Or would you prefer option 2, a game that's not as polished, unknown production teams and voice actors, not perfect animations and writing, but a uniqueness like no other. A team of developers that listen to the fans and have creative freedom to bring anything imaginable to life. A sense of community and culture. And most of all, a gamble that costs you a lot less. For me, a new Call of Duty is always a slight buzz, or when I play a game like God of War, it alters my existence. But the unique universe inside some indie games is amazing. In my personal experience, AAA games bring on an intense amount of hype and enthusiasm just to be let down over and over again. With indie games, you just play with your friends and enjoy the experience. Also, for me personally, bigger games bring bigger amounts of rage inside me. I find myself enjoying indie games more on a stress level sense. A place to relax and enjoy the experience. Of course, that comes with a lot of AAA games too, and of course, games like Cuphead can drive you clinically insane. I also enjoy playing indie games with friends more. The experience is always funnier. So, for me personally, I would choose to play indie games forever. But I live in a world where I can play both forever, and I will definitely enjoy both forever.